I believe most of us are happy with the way technology has shaped our world. There is no denial to the fact that it has made life so much hassle-free. However, there is also the other side of the coin we need to consider. Are we embracing technology to such an extent that the crucial human touch is lost? That raises the big question. Are we on the verge of losing the human touch? The reason why I chose this topic is solely because we humans have underestimated the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. Today, we being in an era of instant gratification, technology has molded our society to make us socially imperfect. Yes, imperfect to a heightened sense of social isolation. Let me justify myself. A recent study revealed that 90% in all age groups made fewer than 10 calls per day. Instead, they chose text messaging as the preferred mode of communication. We find it interesting to engage ourselves in texting, video chatting, and making friends on Facebook and Instagram, when it is much more gratifying to meet a friend face to face over a cup of coffee. I often hear people say that they have got 500 likes or have 900 Facebook friends. In reality, if they find one or two good friends in their lifetime, I would say they're very fortunate. We struggle to understand emotion, and that is because we fail to understand that communication is not just about words, but about human interaction. When was the last time you wrote a handwritten letter to your loved one? I'm sure you'll agree with me that writing something in your own handwriting helps connect more emotionally than digital messages. Now let me share an experience that I encountered. Me, being a normal 7th grader, was unable to comprehend one of the physics lessons on how to compare the equivalences between the metric and imperial units. And with contemporary learning apps earning a great deal of propaganda, I decided to give it a shot too. The topic was covered very well by the learning app, but when it came to my query, it had no response. On the contrary, my teacher was able to do much more than just respond, but with a lot of empathy, which is underestimated by all of us. Can I see a show of hands of how many Apple users are present? Alright, now can I see a show of hands of how many Siri users are present? Precisely what I thought. Siri, who is supposed to be a compatible friend making life more easier, does not serve its actual purpose. Remember, 2 weeks back, schools in the UAE were closed due to inclement weather. I took the day as the best opportunity to play with my friends in the rain, walking and splashing in the puddles. Having not had enough fun, we friends wished the next day would be a holiday as well. And to confirm that, I pulled out my phone and simply asked Siri, how will the weather in Dubai be tomorrow? And Siri replied with, I didn't quite get you. I gave it multiple tries, but the reply remained the same. So I gave it one last go and was glad, for she came up with, here's what I found. But was disappointed the very next moment, for when she finally got me, she came up with a long definition of what is weather. Having said that, have you ever got frustrated by an IVR system? Be honest. Yes, an interactive voice response system which takes you on a vicious circle for about 10 to 15 minutes, instructing you to press 1 for this query, press 2 for that query, instructing you to move from the main menu to the sub-menu. Everything just summing up together, only to get you frustrated and hang the call. In fact, I've got so familiar to the robotic voice in my household because every time my mother tries to contact a bank to get an issue sorted out, she keeps her phone on loudspeaker, simultaneously doing other things. Probably because she knows that associating with an idea takes a good amount of time of us. In her bitter experience, she recounts how 2 decades ago, there used to be an advisor on the other side of the phone who gets connected to you within 3 rings of your calling. This clearly proves that skills such as empathy and understanding are often wrongly overlooked, when in fact, they can make all the difference. They not only leave the customer feeling satisfied about their issue being resolved promptly, but also help reinforce that the company cares about its customers and is determined to go that extra mile to ensure that their needs are met. Technology is not all corrupt. It has become an inevitable part of our lives that we use it either for education, communication, business growth, travel, and the list can go on. But our dependence on technology should not be considered as a weakness. Should a day come when these technologies are unavailable, we will be bewildered and helpless. In conclusion, we realize that technology is indeed a wonderful tool. However, it should not be the only way we stay connected and communicate with each other. After all, nothing can replace hearing the voice of a loved one or getting that hug. Let's not lose it. Thank you.